Okay, so this is Astro Conversations. I just want to continue on with what I was talking about earlier today. Um, Throughout my drive, so I want to finish talking about some information that I'm curious to know myself. So, a few seconds. Okay, yeah. So, for those who got a glimpse of me this afternoon, hey, hope everybody's doing well. Um, on the YouTube streets that we have going on over here in society. So yeah. So I just definitely want to say hey to again for everybody who was with me this afternoon. Anybody who had got a glimpse, hey, how you doing? I hope all is good. But I do want to continue talking about this astrology because I find that it's important, especially for those who are going to be changing their lives, making major decisions, whether that be a decision whether you want to go into partnership with somebody. Like I was saying, partnership could be a business partnership, marriage, just anything that you can think of that involves like a contract. I think it's kind of important to find out exactly where Mars is, and the effects that Mars will have in one's chart. So I want to continue talking about that, but just a few short seconds. Let me do something right quick. Okay, so some of the Mars I have already talked about on this channel, so I'm not going to even cover that. So I'm going to basically probably want to, I definitely want to talk about some of the Mars that I haven't covered yet. And take it from there. Take it from there, definitely. So like I was saying earlier, if you find yourself getting into any type of partnership with somebody, one of the main planets that I would say to check into is I'm sorry, Mars. You want to check a person's Mars, definitely their Venus. Venus will tell you a lot about a person. For example, I think I have mentioned this before. If you are a female and let's say you're interested in this guy or whatever, or this partner, and you want to know if there's a high percentage that the relationship will work, you want to look at where a person's Venus is, because there's a good chance that, let's say for example, if you are an Aries, for example, if you're an Aries sun person and you're in a relationship with somebody who is compatible with your sign, because most Aries are very compatible with Libras for some reason. And I don't know, I don't think I've done a video on that yet. Hopefully I'll do one in the future. But usually when an Aries is in a long-term relationship, they're usually in a relationship with somebody on a long-term level. They're usually in a relationship with somebody who is a Virgo or a Libra for some reason. It's like they automatically attract each other. And even though they may go through hell and high water trying to stay together, there's a good chance that just because those energies flow so well together, that the relationship would work. But let's say if you're an Aries sun and the person that you're dating is a Libra, yes, you guys, there's a good chance that the relationship will last and things will work and things like that. But if the Libra has their Venus, let's say in Virgo, there's a good chance that this person may be attracted to a Virgo sun person, or may have some type of history with a person who has Virgo prominently in their chart if their Venus is sitting there. For some reason or another, women, for example, let's say if your moon is in Virgo, there's a good chance that you would be in a relationship with a male who has a lot of Virgo traits or is a Virgo. So if your moon is in Leo, there's a good chance that you'll be attracted to somebody who has Leo traits or has their sun in Leo. I'm not sure why that is, but this is some of the things that I've discovered. And it kind of like it matches up for some reason, that you could tell a lot about a person and who they may be attracted to just by looking at a female's moon or a male's Venus. And even if they're not with that person in the beginning of the relationship, and let's say they have problems in the relationship down the line that includes like infidelity or emotional affairs, there's a good chance that their Venus is attracting them to a person with that same sign. There's a good chance of that. Um, Hey Nicole, I thought you was with me earlier, but you said, hey, my Mars is in Scorpio in the 7th house. So yeah, I'm sure you know that I have a video on my channel that has Mars in Scorpio. So I did do a video about that. I think it was about a year or something ago. I don't know. Time is flying by, or maybe more than a year ago. That was one of the best videos I've done thus far on my channel, which is the Mars in Scorpio. So if you want to find out what I said, definitely I highly recommend for you to check out that Mars and Scorpio video on my channel. And you have Mars and Scorpio, which I already did a video on that channel, so I'm not going to really go into that too much tonight. I really kind of want to talk about some of the Mars planets that I haven't discussed yet. But I did talk a lot about the 7th house earlier. Maybe I'll go over it a little bit, but I don't want to drown people with the same kind of information over and over again. But like I was saying earlier, if you have Mars in the 7th house, you definitely want to be mindful of the partner that you get involved with, because Mars sitting there, which is an aggressive sign, sitting in the 7th house, it may bring some type of domestic affairs or some type of domestic disputes within your relationship if you have Mars in the 7th house. Again, that's not always the case, but we all have different energies in our charts. And the different energies that we have in our charts, sometimes if we're not conscious, it can play out naturally in our lives. And it could, cause a lot of situations um, that may not be good for us if we don't gain control of these problems. If you have anger issues, you may find yourself dealing with the law a lot. If you're not aware that you have certain signs in your chart that will trigger you to become involved in a crime or even to do a crime. If you have certain signs in your chart that triggers the feeling of going after substances that you will become addicted to, it's definitely important to find out exactly what's going on in the chart that will trigger these things, because these energies, they're natural in the chart. So any little thing can fickle, and then before you know it, you're addicted or you're doing something that is not in your favor and can cause you problems in your life. So, it's definitely important, I think, to find out this information when dealing with astrology. So let me make sure that I haven't skipped anything. So you said I've had emotional abuse and possessiveness. So was the emotional abuse, Nicole, was that coming from your end, or was that coming from the end of your partner? Was it coming from, when you say possessiveness, because I know in my Mars and Scorpio video I did mention something about Mars and Scorpio possibly being in a relationship with somebody who becomes possessive over them, or the Scorpio could become possessive over the partner and want to, take over and go to the depths of the sea with the partner. So let me see if you answered the question. So you said the partner. My last ex was a moon in Scorpio. Oh my goodness. You know what? I had another good video on this channel. I did cover moon in Scorpio, but unfortunately YouTube took that video down and I can't even repost it. But if you was dealing with moon in Scorpio, again, I may be saying something that's wrong. So, pardon me. I'm learning as I go. But from what I'm understanding, people with moon and Scorpio can at times, if they're not conscious of their behavior or the energy that they spew out, they can be like scary, or they can, make people feel scared within a relationship because they're so intense. So I'm not sure if that's what you were experiencing. And let me see what else you said. You said you think it's at 18 degrees too. Yeah, so, and I did talk about this before. Again, I'm not a professional with this stuff. I'm learning every day, and I have other things that I'm learning too on the side in my life. So I try to, you know, do as much as I can. So please, again, excuse me if I come up with the wrong information. But as far as I know, degrees that people really need to take heed to, if you see this in your chart, is 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 9 degrees, 18, and 22 is from what I can remember. Anytime you see those degrees, you definitely want to investigate that even deeper. I know it's said that if you have 18 degrees in the chart, that's a delicate degree, which can bring about an ending to a situation, an ending in a positive way if you're conscious, or it could be an ending in a negative way if you're not conscious. But it seems like you are conscious now because you're investigating yourself. You're obviously into astrology and you're getting to know yourself and those around you. So at least you could be conscious. One thing I love about astrology and just studying the energies and stuff like that is, if you see the transits, if you know that the transits is going to be a little rough, that's it's just like the weather channel or just like the weather report. If it's forecasted, let's say today is Friday, if it's forecasted on Sunday that it's a possible heavy rain shower with let's just say with, fleet or whatever. You get prepared for the weather. You know what I'm saying? You're going to prepare to go outside with rain boots on so you're not caught out in the rain. You're going to prepare yourself with an umbrella and a raincoat. So again, you're not going to be caught out there. But if you go out there dressed like, you're dressed for the summertime, and you've seen the reports said that you might have some heavy rain and some sleet, and you go out there unprepared, then, it's like that energy, that situation, it took over and you lost control. So the fun thing about astrology and these transits is that once you know, the storm is still going to come, but at least you're going to have more control of the situation and be more conscious and maybe move about in life a little bit more strategically. So that's what I heard about 18 degrees. So you said your mood is in Pisces, which I did a video on that. And you said, let me see, my ex that I was with for 7 years was a cheater, and he was a Pisces moon in Cancer. He was a Pisces moon in Cancer. He was controlling, toxic, but very loving and romantic. It was crazy. You said my Mars in Scorpio. I mean, I think it's 18 degrees. Yes, I'm really trying to learn. Yeah, I mean, every day I'm learning. This is like a never ending study. Astrology is so big, and it's a landscape of information that it may take many, 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 many years for people to come to some type of satisfaction or understanding when it comes down to this stuff. So it's a never ending journey for all of us. So yeah, as far as like Pisces, and I don't know if I mentioned that in my dark side Pisces video, which I have on my channel, is that, a dark side Pisces man, he can be like a cheater. He could be a player, I was told. Only because he's trying to give love to everybody and he doesn't really know how to say no. The problem with the Pisces sign on the dark side is that they have to learn how to say no and have to learn how to just like, make your boundaries clear to other people and try to have some thick skin. But sometimes Pisces guys, they can be a little bit sweet and kind and loving, and then people take advantage of that and they turn from the goldfish to the shark. And then they can be very, very mean and very, very nasty, because they've been pushed in the corner so hard. So yeah, with the Pisces guy, hey on Cloud my. So yeah, so let me go back to what I was talking about. So I want to talk about Mars and Aries tonight because that's one sign I didn't cover. Hopefully I could do a separate video and go back to Spreaker and go back to the way I used to do things, but I'm just trying to get things in these days. But if you have Mars and Aries, I'm going to put a disclaimer, and the disclaimer is everything will not apply because you have a lot of other things in your chart that may just bring forth a different energy that's way different from what I'm about to tell you in connection to Mars and Aries. So if there's anybody, once again, that has Mars and Aries, I don't want you to get offended. I don't want you to feel any kind of way when I say certain things, because this may have nothing to do with you. You may be an evolved Mars and Aries person and conscious, and you may be the type of person that doesn't allow your unconscious behaviors to play out in your life that will cause situations in which I'm about to describe to you in a few moments. So let me just make sure. Okay. Yeah, so you say he's a militant fish now. Yeah, I'm feeling you, Nicole. One of the worst things for a Pisces male on the dark side can be militant. They can be mean, and they can even be dangerous too. A dark side Pisces male, they can be very dangerous. And if they don't gain control of their anger, then they can lash out and cause a lot of damage, not only to themselves, but to other people. So I do know what you're saying. So if he's a militant fish, then it sounds like he's not working with his emotions anymore, which is not the kind of fish that I like, to be honest, me being a fish myself. So yeah, so I want to talk about Mars and Aries. And again, everything may not apply. So if you have Mars and Aries, again, please don't get mad at me when I say certain things because it may not apply. But there's a good chance that this person may have suffered from some type of like depression, constantly thinking about things in their mind that could even affect their physical health. People with Mars and Aries, not all the time. Again, I don't really want to keep saying not all the time. That the disclaimer is not everything is going to apply. And this is just for entertainment purposes. But there could be an instance where a Mars and Aries person becomes addicted. to drugs or become addicted to smoking weed, become addicted to smoking cigarettes, or drinking alcohol. And these addictions and these overindulgence to these substances, while they're under the influence of using these drugs, they may find themselves in situations with other people where they're now physically caught up in a fight with a person. And again, with the drugs, the alcohol, or whatever they're doing in excess with the Mars and Aries, the fight may be so bad that they may suffer from injuries to the face. So I don't know why this came up, but it came up that people with Mars and Aries, they have problems with their teeth. So a person with Mars and Aries, they may have stories where they said, they got into this physical altercation and it was so bad that their teeth got knocked out, or they got into this altercation with somebody and somebody pulled out a blade and sliced their face, or or the fight was so bad that they got knocked down to the ground, and it caused some type of scarring to the face. It could also be that this person got into even like an accident or something where it caused trauma to the head, and then they may have stories where they felt unconscious, or they were, they woke up in the hospital with band-aids around their head, not realizing they got into some type of altercation or some type of situation where an accident happened because of them being too hasty or too much in a rush. People with Mars and Aries, they need to know that for whatever reason, the energy around them, just like every energy in Mars, there's an energy that you have to be aware of. Just like Mars and Scorpio, they have to be aware that they can become obsessive and possessive, or they can become obsessive and possessive with people in a relationship, Mars and Scorpio. And I talked about a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm sure that they're aware of. People with Mars in Cancer, they have to be aware of energies that will include fights and arguments with women and family, just drama in the house, to the point where it may bring in domestic violence, and then the police come to the house. That's Mars and Cancer. There's a good chance that they'll experience energy like that. So Mars and Aries, they may experience fights with their friends that they go partying with, and then all of a sudden they're fighting because they are under the impression that somebody was looking at their girl or somebody was looking at their man, and then before you know it, they're fighting. Or a Mars and Aries, they may complain and say, oh, somebody's looking at them, or why are people looking at them up and down? You know what I mean? Or, it's just, they may even talk to you about having beef around the block, beef with their neighbors, Mars and Aries. And then again, there's these altercations that continue to come up. And a Mars and Aries may not even realize that, they may be at the center of this because they don't realize that their energy is being misused and misdirected. So when they have problems like scarring and stuff like that, like I was saying before, that's probably connected to some type of physical altercation that they had, or some type of accident that they had. And the accident may cause, problems with head trouble, or suffering from migraines. Even if, let's say the Mars and Aries is evolved, they are aware that, they can easily just go off like a match or a spark to a flame. They know themselves to the point that sometimes they're scared of themselves, of what they can do. So they've mastered that. They have no problem with that. Still, a Mars and Aries person, they may complain of having migraines, or maybe sometime in their life they've suffered from migraines for some reason. Also, it came up, which was weird, again, with the teeth problems that a lot of Mars and Aries may find themselves having. Also, you may find that a lot of them wear glasses for some reason. They either wear glasses or contacts. Okay. And let me see if anybody is in the chat saying anything before I continue. So yeah, so on Cloud Mind, you said, I think that's true. He is always drinking with friends and doesn't know how to say no. And his ex-wife did hit him, and he got a scar on his face. Not big, but it's there. Nicole, you said he was very angry back then. He has owned his stuff, and it seems like he changed. We recently talked after being apart for 5 years. That's good. I'm glad that you guys have mended, and hopefully you guys can work on, your differences and stuff. It's always good to mend relationships. So you also said, wow, I knew a Pisces with Mars and Aries. He's an athlete. That's perfect. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Nicole, because if you have Mars and Aries, that's, again, if we know what it is inside of us that would naturally trigger off a situation that may be negative for us, then you definitely want to try to redirect it so this negative, dark energy is not playing out in your life, that's going to cause you to be in situations or experience a situation where you're not happy. So if you have Mars and Aries, definitely you want to go into something that's athletic, something that will allow you to be the boss of people, because you'll be very good at being the boss of people if you have Mars and Aries. Or just being able to control like a team, or even being an athlete, like Nicole said. That would be perfect for Mars and Aries, because if you don't gain control of this, and you have Mars and Aries and you're working on your dark side, again, those addictions can come up. Just like Mars and Pisces, I think I talked about that too, where they too can suffer from addictions. And it's even worse for Mars and Pisces, because that addiction can take over their lives to the point where they can find themselves in confinement, or find themselves in a situation where it's going to be hard for them to come out, because they were just too addicted to whatever they were addicted to. But for some reason or another, Mars and Aries, there's an addiction there, and I'm not sure why that is, but there's an addiction there to especially alcohol. Not so much of other drugs, but definitely alcohol for some reason. Alcohol and smoking, Mars and Aries. So whether that be smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, something about smoking and drinking is a thing with Mars and Aries. And then again, if you're doing that too much, then you can cause some type of mucus and inflammation in the body once you get older. You know what I mean? And then you're finding that you're having problems because of things that you've been doing for so many years in excess. Sometimes Aries on the dark side, they can do things in an excessive manner, to the point, like I was saying, like with Virgo on the dark side, and I did say this about Virgo, is that sometimes they can be undercover alcoholics. And sometimes they'll do it to the point where they'll try to master their addiction. They'll master their addiction in front of other people and try to say that they have control over the addiction. and they'll try to make the addiction look good, or they'll try to make the addiction look like it's not a big deal for them to get over it, not realizing that they're knee deep in the addiction. And if they don't gain control of it, I'm talking about a Virgo now, if they don't gain control of the addiction that they have, that it can affect their health as a Virgo. Mars and Aries, same thing though. Same thing. Sometimes a dark side Aries or a dark side Mars and Aries, they can do things in excess, or they can do things out of rebellion. So let's say, for example, if you tell a Mars and Aries, chill out with the drinking, this is causing you problems, they'll do it just because you told them not to do it. So it's like the more you tell them not to, the more they do it. And that's that energy inside of them where they're in competition, or they have to fight, or they have to go harder, not realizing them going harder is hurting them. It's not hurting anybody else. So, yeah, so definitely Mars and Aries, you want to try to balance that out if this is a problem, because this is a dark side trait, is to be mindful of things that you do in excess. And it was so weird because I'm like, I just would never think that a Mars and Aries person would be suffering from addiction that includes like alcohol. But it came up that the alcohol abuse, it brings out the anger in a Mars and Aries, and it doesn't make things better. It actually makes things worse, because naturally, if somebody makes you mad, at a snap of a finger, you're blacking out, and you're not going to stop until you find yourself in a situation where you're in confinement, or the situation has gotten so bad that you had no choice but to stop. So if you have alcohol in the mix of all of that, then it makes the situation even worse. And then that's when you can find yourself dealing with violence if you have Mars in Aries. Dealing with a situation that is way out of control to the point where now the authorities are involved. So if you have Mars in Aries, there's a good chance that there is stories that you may have of being arrested because of assault that probably came from a Mars and Aries side, to be honest. Or finding yourself in a situation where you're being blamed for assaulting somebody. I mean, Mars and Aries, they can go as far as telling you of crimes of like, like dangerous crimes, and they may have stories that they had to spend some time in jail because of these outbursts. And this only happened because they most likely wasn't aware of this energy that they have inside of them that is just so natural. And due to the environment that maybe they was raised in, or the environment that they had no choice but to be in, and these toxic friends that Mars and Aries consistently finds themselves surrounded by, they're going to have stories where they're going to tell you, where, they've been in a situation where they weren't able to be free, and they were in confinement. And it was only because of a situation where they'll say, you know what I'm saying? I had to fuck somebody up. I had to kick their ass. And they don't regret it either. Like a Mars and Aries person, if I mean, they know that those outbursts and those angers, that temper, because Mars and Aries people have very, very bad and dangerous tempers, to the point that, again, they probably will have stories to tell you that blood was shed either on their end or the other person's end. This is how serious it gets for Mars and Aries, and they really don't care. When they get to that point where they have their back is against the wall, they feel like, there's nowhere else to turn but to go forward, and all they see is blood, they don't care about going to jail. They don't care about anything. They black out, they lose it. And if you're drinking and you naturally get angry, those blackouts can be dangerous on both ends, where it can include like an accident, some type of wound, some type of situation where there's a scar involved. And most of those scars sometimes is on the face. Or they may have found themselves in a situation where the situation was so aggressive and so explosive that they may have stories where, they had to be rushed to surgery, or a situation where they know of somebody who was in surgery. So again, you may not experience these things. It could be that you're a surgeon. It could be that you may be interested in working in the surgery room, because that energy is there anyway for you. Also, if you have Mars and Aries, because Aries is fire, it's that flame, there's a good chance that a Mars and Aries person will tell you, as a kid, I was living in this building that caught on fire, or, I used to play with fire or almost burn something down, or, something about a fire is around Mars and Aries. So let me go back to the chat and see if I missed anything before I keep chitter chatting here. Okay, so it says, let me see. Okay, yeah, so Nicole, you were saying this guy I'm talking to is a Mars in Cancer. Yeah, so Nicole, oh, so you're talking to Mars in Cancer. So if you want to find out information, of course, there's other astrologers on YouTube, definitely, want to check them out too. But I have a video on my channel where I talk about Mars in Cancer. And Mars and Cancer, guys, they can be sweet. They can be really sweet, but they're similar to Mars and Aries, where they can kind of lose control if they're not conscious of their behavior. And for some reason, they have a lot of arguments with women. So they may argue with their mother, their sister. They may argue with all the women in their home, but they love them though. They argue, they fight, and then they love. They fight and then they love. They're protectors of the home. So if you get with a Mars in Cancer, trust me, ain't nobody coming around the four corners of that home, because they will wow out. Just like a Mars and Aries, they will shed blood for their family. Mars and Cancer people, they're very, very protective over their family. If they get in a relationship with you, they're going to be protective over you. They're going to fight to the end. They're going to make sure that nobody comes around you. They're going to protect you. But they can, they can get out of control too, but they have to be conscious. So they'll be good as security guards, like Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer, Mars in Aries, great for security, police, military, just standing up and guarding people. They'll be really good at that. Really good at that. So let's see, what did I miss? So let me see what you said. This guy, yeah. So you said, yup, he drank a lot and smoked a lot of cigarettes and weed. Yeah, Nicole, I don't know why that is. When I was doing the research on Mars and Aries, it came up that they smoke a lot of cigarettes, or they smoke a lot. Smoking and drinking goes hand in hand. If a Mars and Aries drinks, trust me, and the other hand is probably a cigarette or some weed. And they smoke sometimes just as much as they drink, and both is not healthy. So, if they're constantly smoking, they may find that they have problems with their teeth, so they may suffer from yellow teeth. or some type of problems with the teeth and the eyes. So again, they may wear glasses or contacts, or they may have like missing teeth too. For some reason, I don't know why that came up, but they may have missing teeth or teeth that they lost in a fight or some type of accident where their teeth is not right, or something is going on with the dental. I don't know why that is. But they kind of, definitely Mars and Aries. Everybody has an addiction to something. If you don't, that's good. You're blessed. But there, sometimes you can find that most people suffer from addictions, and you can most likely find that in astrology. And I know for sure if you have Mars in Cancer, those addictions can include drinking and smoking. You know what I mean? So it's, everybody does what they have to do, but once you become conscious and you know that this addiction is not really for the better for me, and that this is just a spirit inside of me that for whatever reason it fiends for these things. Because when you're drinking alcohol and you're smoking, that's not a natural thing to do, because we're not born with cigarettes in a fucking bottle, a beer bottle in our hand. Like, you're not gonna find a fucking Hennessy bottle in a baby's basket when they're born. This is an addiction. It's a spirit that it enters the body of people, and it's a horrible spirit. And it's like once this addiction or that feeling of wanting to use drugs or even alcohol comes into your body or your system, it's a battle to get that out. It's a battle, but it's a spirit though. It's a spirit that it's like a spirit inside of you that wants to be unleashed. And the only way it's unleashed is if you tap into like smoking or drinking. And sometimes that spirit, it enjoys those substances that could damage the physical. Sometimes the addiction takes over to the point where, a person can be drinking and smoking and know that it's wrong. And sometimes do it to the point Mars and Aries may tell you, that they do want to stop smoking. They do want to stop drinking. And they make attempts to do it. They really want to stop. But again, they find that that spirit, it takes over them and they can't stop. And even though they may say, I'm not going to drink today, I'm not going to smoke weed today, or I'm not going to smoke a cigarette today, they try, but the spirit inside of them, it's like it's stronger than their willpower. And then they find themselves drinking again, hanging out with these fucked up friends that constantly want to party. People with Mars and Aries, they may tell you that they party a lot. They go to a lot of parties. If they don't go to a lot of parties, then they have a lot of friends' houses that they go to for some reason. They always hanging out with Tom, Dick, and Harry. Every other day they're hanging out. Somebody always has to. They always have to go somewhere and be with somebody and do this and do that. All this house hopping, all this partying and stuff like that. And then, they want to stop the addiction. They want to stop the smoking. They want to stop the drinking. And God forbid if they're sniffing coke or doing something even worse than that, they want to stop. The physical body and mentally, they know that they really just want to stop, but it's hard to stop when you're hanging out with people who are toxic. And they keep pushing those drugs and those things right in front of your face. So you find that you can't stop. So Mars and Aries, they may say, you know what? I'm going to drink this last time. I'm going to go to the party with them. Like today is Friday. Like if COVID wasn't around, or knowing a Mars and Aries, COVID doesn't apply to them. They're going to find the spot to party tonight. So a Mars and Aries, they're probably at a house party or getting ready to go to a party right now while I'm speaking to you guys about them, they're probably chilling somewhere, like at a barbecue, the backyard, somebody's living room, somebody's basement. Somewhere they're somewhere drinking and probably smoking right now. And chilling and having fun too. Don't get it twisted. Even though Mars and Aries, they know that they can't continue this behavior for the rest of their lives, because Mars and Aries, they'll do it so much that they may turn around and see that, damn, 10 years went by. You know what I'm saying? All these years went by, and then they turn around and they're like, wait a minute, I had fun, but I wasted so much time. So Mars and Aries, this, I don't know why that is, why that comes up, but definitely you want to try to. But again, not every Mars and Aries is going to have this problem. It's like a dark side trait. But again, you want to try to like gain control of that, because even though you may want to stop the drinking and the smoking, if you're constantly hanging out or in situations where this stuff is in your face, it's going to be hard to stop, because sometimes the spirit is stronger than the body, and the spirit wants it more than than you can physically stop. Like, you can't stop it. It's like it wants it. And as a Mars and Aries, your mind is spinning very fast, and if you want something, you're going to get it. Mars and Aries, nobody's going to stop you. But if you don't want to do something, nobody can stop you. Nobody can make you either. It's like an Aries dark trait. Everybody knows of Aries being a sign where it's a go-getter, it goes after the things it wants. But on the dark side, they have a dark side trait too. And that dark side trait is, if they don't want to do something, they're not going to do it. And everybody around them will suffer for it. And it will be a lot of restriction. When you're dealing with a dark side Aries, restriction is the name of the game. Very resistant, very resistant, to the point where they become like Tauruses, that they don't move. They're not going to move just because you said it. Remember, I told you about the sign Aries, that on the dark side, sometimes a dark side Aries, if you tell them to do something and they don't want to do it, or let's say you told a dark side Aries to do something, what they'll do is the total opposite. And they won't budge and they won't move. And then you'll find that it's a very restrictive energy around them, to the point where they go like extremely slow. See, Aries is a sign where everybody thinks that they're moving fast and boom, boom, boom. But sometimes when they're working with their dark side energy, they become restrictive, and they won't budge, they won't move, they'll do the opposite. And even though the authorities are involved, if they don't want to do something, they're still not going to do it. And sometimes Mars and Aries, they can be like that. Like, they can get to the point where, if they get mad, that they don't even care if the authorities are involved. Like, if they want to get you, they're going to get you. And authorities, nothing is going to back them down, because they're blacking out and they're not really thinking about what's going on. So let me go back to the chat. So let's see. Okay, so on Cloud Mind, you said my sister's husband has a Virgo moon, and he has no control over alcohol. Yeah, when I discovered that about Virgos, I was very shocked. Because again, that's a sign where they try to always act like they're perfect, or they're not doing anything wrong. You know what I mean? Or, sometimes they try to perfect their toxicity. And sometimes they want to perfect that toxicity in front of people. And they do it in front of people, and they don't realize that it's not a good look. It's not a good look. and they'll do it, and they'll do it to the point where, again, like the Mars and Aries, that they don't realize that it's an addiction, but they're doing it because they're trying to perfect something. And sometimes Virgos on the dark side, they can perfect things that are toxic and it's not good for them. And due to the fact that Virgo is a sign dealing with health and the well-being of your body, if you're addicted to something that you're trying to perfect because you think that you're playing God, or you're stronger than the spirit that's inside of you that is feeding for this toxicity, that sometimes it could affect your health. And I had no idea that Virgo had that problem. So yeah, Virgo moons, people with Virgo, sometimes they can perfect things that are not good, that's toxic, and they think that they can control it. And sometimes, that scale can be tricky, and sometimes that thing can control them, and then it can affect their health if they don't realize that that's a dark side trait of theirs. But anyway, okay, so Nicole, you said, I know a Pisces with Mars and Aries, and he has a DUI. Yeah, that's another thing too. Thank you for bringing that up. But it did come up that Mars and Aries people, they may get into like fender benders or accidents and things like that, or driving too fast. For some reason or another, Mars and Aries, they drive like way too fast. So sometimes you can get in a car with them and not really feel comfortable. You won't have a comfortable ride with a Mars and Aries because they're just going nowhere fast, or they're speeding to get from point A to point B, and they think that they're going to beat everybody. I don't know who they're in a competition with, but that hasty, again, that hasty energy, and they probably don't even know that they're driving that fast, because that energy that they have is just taking control of them. So yeah, Mars and Aries, they may have situations where people say they get in a car with them and they don't really feel comfortable driving with them because they driving too fast. Or, Mars and Aries, they may drink and then drive because they think that they can handle it. And again, they're already a fast driver, so they're driving even faster under the influence. And then again, they may find themselves getting into a little fender bender. So, you said, I'm a Mars Virgo at 2 degrees. I think, what does this mean? So hopefully I can get into that tonight, but I kind of really wanted to concentrate on Mars and Virgo. But yeah, I'll look over it, and we'll go over that hopefully before I end this. So Nicole, you said he's a Cancer sun, Moon in Pisces, and Mars in Cancer. I think I read that before. And then on Cloud Mind, you said have Mars in Cancer. Oh, hey girl, Mars in Cancer. And you said, Nicole, you said, okay, he is so sweet. I haven't seen that side yet. He keeps saying he wants to take care of me. Yeah, a good side of a Mars in Cancer, they will take care of you. They will take care of you. And you will be like family to them. So they will have like a lot of entertainment in the home. Once you guys get solidified together, there's a good chance if he has sisters, you're gonna meet his sister, you're gonna meet his mom, you're gonna meet his grandmother. He's gonna bring you into his family home environment, and then you're gonna feel like you're a part of the family too. You know, so yeah, Mars and Cancer, they can make great husbands and great fathers, but again, they have that dark side with them where they can also bring violence and danger in the home because of anger and aggression and violence, or arguments with women for some reason. I don't know why that is. Or if it's a Mars and Cancer woman, she may bring arguments and problems in the home with her husband, or females in her house. Or there's a lot of like domestic abuse or domestic violence, or name calling, or just some type of abuse if she's not, or if she or he is not aware. See, once you become aware of this And then, that energy starts to come around you. And then you recognize, you're like, oh shit, I'm finna turn shit up. And you're like, you know what? If anything happens, it's on me, because you're conscious. So, you just got to scale back. Scale back. But let me see what else you said. Okay, you said, is the seventh house and eighth house video did early private? Yeah, I had to make that private because it was some drama on there. But yeah, that's private. Hopefully I can release it. I'll see. I'm gonna have to check out the video with some crazy stuff going on. But if not, I'll do it again. I'll talk about the seventh house and eighth house again. And you said, I understand why people get addicted. It's an escape. Yeah. It's addiction it's a spirit inside people. And addiction is a spirit where it can take over. It can take over the lives of many people. People have many different types of addictions. Everybody thinks that addiction is drugs and alcohol. No. You could be addicted to sex. You could be addicted to a lot of things that are secret and taboo. See, people may come out in this world and they may give you a sense of perfection, and you don't even know that they have an addiction. And sometimes, and it's in astrology, true, and I was able to find that. But I don't think I would ever bring that up on the channel because I don't want to offend anybody who does have those signs. But I was able to even see in astrology pedophilia and the potential to be like a child molester or something, like a rapist. So that's in astrology. You can also look that up and find that out. So people, they may come out and be like this perfect citizen, this perfect person, and you don't even know that they have a hidden addiction to something weird or something unorthodox or something that, if they're caught and it's connected to the eighth house or the 12th house, that it can destroy them. How many politicians, how many people have we heard that we found out that they were like into child porn, or they were doing something that was unorthodox because they had an addiction, but they didn't show it to the public because the public sees them as an angel. But you don't know that they have this hidden addiction that they hide in their 12th house from everybody. You know what I mean? And it could become a situation where it can blow up. And then I think I was saying that how 12th house, it deals with self undoing. So if you have an addiction to something that's unorthodox and it comes out, then everything that you build, you can literally go through like a self undoing. Everything that you've built up, it could come crumbling down because there's some type of self undoing there because of an addiction that you're hiding and it's being hidden. So let me go back to, yeah, so people get addicted to things. And again, addiction to me, it's a spirit. It's a spirit. And sometimes the spirit is stronger than the physical. So you said, what about Mars and Aquarius? I haven't researched that yet, so probably not going to talk about that tonight. But I will go over that hopefully in a few more days. I'll come on here again. And you said, hey, Charles. You said, hey, I have Mars in Gemini. So, Charles, you have Mars in Gemini. Let me guess, you like to talk to a lot of people, or a lot of people do like to talk to you, or you deal with like a lot of information, or you're multitasking, you're doing a lot of things. You're doing a lot of things with that Mars in Gemini. You have your hands in a lot of pots. but I have to check out more. I have to check out Mars in Aquarius and Mars in Gemini, and hopefully I can come back with some fruitful information for you guys. So Mars in the sixth house. So yeah, dealing with health right there, or dealing with the job. So you may work hard at your job or something with the physical. I don't know if you are an athlete or you do some type of physical activity and it's connected to your health or to your job. So I listen and enjoy a lot of your videos, but haven't came across any contact on this one yet. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to. You know what? Thank you for the suggestion, Nicole and Charles. That I definitely will do my due diligence and just start researching information on Mars and Aquarius and Mars and Gemini. So yeah, I have to do that. Thank you guys for that suggestion. I'm definitely gonna do my homework and then come back and talk to you guys and see if we can compare some notes and tell me where I'm going wrong, or just maybe some information that you can share so we can start to learn more and more about ourselves so we can make ourselves better. So yeah, Nicole, you said yes, he used to do that. He's always rushing. Yeah, Mars and Aries is always this rush. Always this rush. Again, with Mars and Aries, sometimes they can rush, or they can be partying so much that they get tired a lot. So even though the Aries sign can be the sign where we always think they're moving and grooving, partying, shaking, moving, fighting, kicking ass, just running marathons, running races, riding bulls, just doing the most. We know that they have the potential to do that, and they can do that. But sometimes Mars and Aries, they can those drinks, like those drinks 5 hour energies. So sometimes Mars and Aries, they can have the energy of like a 5 hour energy, or whatever you call them. Do you know those little bottles that you take and you drink it and then boom, you ready to kick ass, you ready to take over the world, but then you crash and you burn. So sometimes Mars and Aries, they can feel that, where they were hype and they were at the top and they had so much energy, but they did it in so much excess that they crashed and they burned, and they don't have the energy, and then they become tired. Another thing that came up that was really, really interesting, and it was weird, but it came up, and only a Mars and Aries would have to tell me if this is true, but a lot of them, they like to sleep during the day. So Mars and Aries, that you may find that a lot of them work the night shift, or they work late, or they have like some type of overnight graveyard shift job. So Mars and Aries, for some reason, they really do good at night. They move very well at night. They drive well at night. They have, it seems like they have a lot of energy for some reason at night. But during the day, they don't really function well. Not every Mars and Aries. Again, I'm not putting everybody in a bucket. So please pardon me on that. But sometimes Mars and Aries, they don't really do well in the daytime. So they may be the ones that say, "Oh, I don't like working the morning shift." That they really like working at night. And this is why they do so good, and this is why they're always at the parties, because most parties, they're at night. So they're not like a daytime person. They're more so of like a nighttime person. So these are the people that you're gonna find up 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, just chilling. But during the day, they're nowhere to be found. You can't hear from them. They're sleeping, they're tired, and they're crashing and they're burning. So sometimes some people can even say that Mars and Aries people could be lazy too. You may hear of that they're lazy. So let me see. You said I'm battling food, the acceptable. Yeah, that is acceptable. It says there was a pastor in Dallas that I heard had 12th house transit and he was exposed. Yeah, something about that 12th house, man. Like people with 12th house, like they have to be guarded over themselves. Because people with 12th house, they don't realize that they have secret enemies. See, people with 7th house, they have open enemies. So that means that eventually you're going to find out if you have 7th house in your chart. First and foremost, whether you have 7th house, 8th house, or 12th house, whether you're a newborn or or a fucking 99, 100-year-old person. Again, newborns are born with enemies, just to let you know. How do you know that? Because sometimes they're born out of the belly of the beast, which is their mother. How many stories have we heard of? Like, I just heard a story just a few days ago of these twin boys. I don't know if you heard about it, but this lady gave birth to her twin sons and threw them out the window. So that's those were newborns who were born out of the belly of the beast, which was their mother, who in turn turned out to be their enemy, who took their own life before their life even started. So I say that to say this, that all of us, for some reason, karmically or whatever, we all seem to have enemies for some reason. You ever went outside and came across a person and just by looking at them you didn't like them, but you don't really know why you don't like them, you just don't like them for some reason, and there's nothing that they said, there's nothing that they did, that you never had any kind of interaction or communication with this person, but just looking at them you're just like, I don't like that person, not even realizing that if you just took your time to talk to this person, you may find that this person is a kind and loving person and you just judge them by the way they looked and you automatically didn't like them without even getting to know them. So I say that to say this is that we all for some reason have enemies, and I don't know if that's karma or if that's some past life shit that we have going on that we didn't solve, and now we're here dealing with these same people who are our enemies. And these enemies, they can cause a lot of problems in our lives. So if you have open enemies dealing in the 7th house, then they may try to act secretive and quiet, and they may try to sneak around you and be secret. But if you have 7th house in your chart, eventually you're going to discover who the enemy is, because it's an open enemy. So either they're eventually going to come out and show their face, or they're going to eventually come out and say they don't like you. And then from there, you're going to know that that person doesn't like you. And then now they have revealed themselves. And now that they are an open enemy, now you know how to deal with them. And that's the 7th house. See, it's different with the 12th house, because 12th house is a house that is related to Pisces, and Pisces, they deal with illusion, rose-colored glasses. They always see the good in people, and they give people too much of the benefit of the doubt. So if a person has 12th house in their chart, they're going to have that same energy that Pisces naturally carries, and they're not really going to see the enemy for who they are until it's too late. And then they're dealing with a situation where they're being exposed, or the secret enemy has so much information on them that they can crush them, they can kill them, they can hurt them, they can destroy them, they can damage them, or they can cause that person to experience a self-undoing. So it's nothing wrong with finding out the truth within your own chart, because finding out the truth about yourself, or finding out the truth about what's going on in your life, in your astrology, in your chart, the situations, the detriment, the disappointment, the sadness, the cheating, the infidelity, the adultery, whatever. loss of money, loss of business, whatever the situation is. Find out the truth of what's going on inside your life instead of worrying about other people. So when situations like this come about, you can gain more control, or the problem wouldn't be so fucking damaging. So, with that being said, with Mars and Aries, definitely, there's an anger problem here. And the anger problem, it can be to the point where it's like the spirit. Remember I was saying about the spirit of addiction, that sometimes that spirit of addiction, it takes over the physical flesh. And even though you know that it's not right if you go and smoke another cigarette, it's not right if you drink another fucking bottle of vodka, it's not right if you do another line of coke, it's not right if you continue to have sex with Tom, Dick, and Harry and everybody on the block, it's not right, it's not right, and if you continue to do these things, that in the long run, it's not going to be beneficial to you, that it's only going to hurt you, but you can't stop it because it's a spirit. And it's a spirit that is naturally inside of you, that it really just doesn't want you to be aware. It kind of just wants you to be unconscious. See, these negative detriment, these dark side energies in our chart, they just would rather you not know about it, because these are spirits. So they would just rather you not know that you have this problem. They just would rather you just continue to be reckless, because it could take over you. And then this is why you find so many people are in situations that are out of their control, because the spirit took over. So anyway, so let me see what else. So yeah, Charles, so you said I don't sit down, always in the move. You hit the nail on the head. That's what's up. Moving and grooving. So you said I have Neptune in the first. I'm a Pisces sun. This not Mars, but I deal with addiction more than most. Yeah, like I think I was talking to Treasure one day, and I was telling her that, one of these days I do want to do a video about addiction. I do want to do it. Because addiction, it's a spirit. It's a negative spirit that a person has in them. And some people hide it very well. Some people, you would never know that they have an addiction. And some people, their addictions, it's pretty bad, to the point where if it becomes exposed, that it can literally destroy them. Some people have addictions where it is exposed. Everybody knows that this person has a drinking problem. Everybody knows that this person has a smoking problem, a gambling addiction. So those are addictions that are exposed. So everybody really knows about those. You know what I'm saying? But when you're dealing with addictions that nobody knows about and you're hiding it, and when a person's dealing with an addiction that they're hiding and nobody knows about the addiction that is being hidden, sometimes those addictions are worse than addictions that are exposed that people can see. Because the addiction would be worse because nobody knows that you're doing it. You are not going to stop it because you're hiding it and it's out of control. But with those types of addictions, sometimes those addictions, they can actually destroy that person more than an addiction that is exposed. Like if you see like a crackhead outside, or somebody who's battling like drugs and stuff like that, you may think that they're never going to get over that addiction. But little do you know, they might get over that addiction faster than the person who's hiding their addiction. Because at least it's exposed. Other people see it. They know about it. So, one day, hopefully the spirit will leave their body, or they can go to some type of spiritualist where they can get some type of, spiritual healing, or do something where they can eventually wean that negative spirit out of there, because it's destroying them. And then they can eventually conquer that spirit. And once they conquer that addiction, that spirit, then they can start to live a fruitful and fulfilling life. Because addictions, it's not a fruitful, fulfilling life. In the beginning, it may seem fun. Again, with the Mars and Aries, when you're hanging out with your friends, you're chilling. In the beginning, when you first started doing it, was cool. You know what I'm saying? You went to the party, you threw a few back, you was listening to some music. Mars and Aries, too. That's another thing I wanted to bring up. Music. So Mars and Aries, they may be singers, dancers, producers, or they may have a love for music. So this is why they're always at the party. This is why they're always hanging out with friends, because the friends and, chilling and everything with this Mars and Aries, all this chilling, music is involved. There's a 99.9% of Mars and Aries. Trust me, they're around some type of music. They're around friends. They're around drinking, alcohol, smokes, and the music. It's definitely a lot of music going on. It's music, parties, food, laughter. But sometimes that laughter, that drinking, carrying on, and then the drinking continues, and then then that those engines, they fire up in that Mars, and then before you know it, they're like, what? People drinks is everywhere, tables are flipping, police is outside, people is on the ground, teeth is falling out the mouth because they've been arrested. You know what I mean? It's cuts on the head, somebody got sliced, it's so much stuff going on. They went from partying to now everybody's like, oh shit, yo, what happened? Yo, that Mars and Aries, word, damn. You know what I'm saying? And then that one night turned into months of fucking court cases and going back and forth to court for like a year and shit, trying to, get yourself out of jail. Another thing, for some reason, it did come up too, that Mars and Aries, even though they may find themselves, for whatever reason, consistently being arrested, they're like Sagittarius people. Like, they don't, for some reason or another, they have like luck with the jail system or something. Like, these are the types of people who would like be doing like bad crimes, but for some reason or another, they don't spend that much time in jail. I don't know why that is, but they always seem to get out for some reason, or they always seem to get like not enough evidence to support their case, and before you know it, the case is dismissed, and now they're on the street again, finding themselves again getting arrested for something similar, and then they find themselves going back to jail, or finding themselves going to counseling or some type of anger treatment or something like that. But then again, they just get out of it. I don't know why that is, but they have the energy where they find themselves in a situation, but for some reason they don't really stay in it. They're not going to go down long for it. I don't know why that is, but it did come up. So if Mars and Aries, let's say they don't have a problem with alcohol, or they're not addicted to drugs or anything, it could come up too. It could come up too that, they may be a drug dealer, or they may have some types of ties dealing with drugs, or they may know of somebody who was like a drug dealer. Something with drugs and substances. I don't know why that came up. So let me see what else. Oh yeah, one more thing too, before I continue. Mars and Aries, it also came up that like in twos, something with the number 2. It also came up, so 2 twins and not that many children. So people with Mars and Aries, you may find that they may have like 2 kids, or they may be just one of 2 kids. So it may be just them and a brother, or They may have twins, or they may be a twin. Something about with the number 2 with Mars and Aries. I don't know that's significant why that came up, but something with the number 2. I don't know if it's the number 2 and their birthday. Something with the number 2. No more than 2 kids or something. I don't know. Something 2 just keeps coming up. Yeah, so I'm gonna hurry up and get out of here. I think I may have answered all the information, but let me just make sure there's nothing else in the chat. So Nicole, you said yes, he's always collapsing and falling asleep. I'm not really sure what sign you're talking about. And you said I got Saturn in the 8th house. So yeah, Saturn again, I was saying earlier, hopefully hopefully I'll have time. I can go back over to some of the information I was talking about earlier on my lives. But Saturn is definitely a planet of restriction. It lasts long, but it's going to be very restrictive. But it's that planet that it breaks you down to build you up. And when you're built up stronger, better than ever. So you said, Charles told you said, damn, that's crazy. You got Saturn in 8th. I have Jupiter in the 8th. I guess you was talking to her. So you said my Pisces moon is in the 11th house. So it's a lot of creativity, I guess, dealing with the friends. Nicole, do you have a lot of friends? Are you a creative person? And you said that's true. I know Mars in Aries, he has a DUI, but he's a successful teacher. The parents had good lawyers. Yeah, I don't know why that is though. Like that is so strange. Like it's different from like a Mars and Pisces. Like a Mars and Pisces, they may get themselves in trouble and not come out of jail quick. But like a Mars and Aries could probably do the same crime that a Mars and Pisces did, but they'll come out of jail quick. And I'm not sure why that is. Or they don't really serve that much time like other people. I have no idea why that is, but I guess it's an energy thing. And that's what I love about astrology is that you do have like certain energies in your chart that it just gives you that waiver uh in regards to certain things that you may experience in life. So you may have a waiver that other people don't have. It's just your luck. And there's some people out there that they may want to fight and they want to be in competition with you. Let's just say, for instance, like you're a writer and somebody else knows that you're a writer. Somebody else may feel like, oh, I went to school for like 4 years. I got a master's degree in writing. I'm going to be better than her. Not even realizing that, naturally in your chart, it's already there that you have the gift to write. That no matter what this person does, they can go to school for 20, 30 years. They can sit down with the best writers. For some reason, you might end up being a Nobel Prize winner in writing over this person because it's a natural gift that you have. It's that treasure inside of your chart that once you tap into it, it's going to give you that waiver. It's going to give you that ability to just master that craft. All you have to do is tap into it and just try to be a little consistent and put a little bit of effort into it. So I'm going to hurry up and get out of here. And I think that's about it. So in and you said that's crazy. He only has 2 kids. Yeah, I don't know. That it's so weird, but yeah, Mars and Aries, two twins, 2 kids. Something about the number 2. Something about the number 2. Somebody in their family may have a twin, or they may Mars and Aries. You may find that they have stories where they have somebody that they share the same birthday with in their family. That's like a twin, something with a duplicate with the number 2. So Charles Toy, you said, hey, before you get off, how you feel about Pluto in the 11th house? And I'm going to look up information for you before I get off. Hopefully I can find information about Pluto in the 11th house and answer that question for you. And I'm gonna get out of here. And then you said, Nicole, you said I'm creative, but I make friends in groups, but it's kind of only in group settings. Who is the writer? What signs is that for? And you were on point with Mars and Aries. Yeah, yeah, so I'm gonna have to get more information for you in regards to, because I would love to go into that and see who would be great as a writer. But I think we have a maybe a person in the chat that may be good at writing. I think somebody mentioned that they have a Mars and Gemini. So they may have some writing skills if you have Mars and Gemini, or something to do with communication. If you have good communication skills, that goes hand on hand with writing, so definitely communication and writing I know goes hand in hand. If you have Gemini sitting there, then there is a potential to be a great writer. So let me few seconds. Few seconds. Be right back. Okay, so few more seconds, just a few more moments. Remember, don't sleep on the couch, please. Okay, not sleep on the couch. What? What you said? All right, please. Everything is cleaned. All right, make sure it's divine. Oh, slappy dappy. Okay, so I am back. Hopefully, you guys can hear me, and I am going to be on my way out of here. Okay, so few seconds. Okay. So yeah, so I don't see anything else in the chat. Okay, yeah, so Charles, I'm gonna definitely sorry, go over that for you. And okay. Okay, you're a life path 3. Okay, that's good. So life path 3. Definitely good with entertainment. Definitely a whole lot of friends, partying, having fun, communicating. You are a free spirited person. You have the Aries, I'm sorry, you have the energy of Sagittarius, where you always like to be on the move. And just like Aries, you do like to have fun, and you're probably, at the party or in some type of like group setting where there's a lot of people. You know what I mean? A lot of people. So I don't see anything else in the chat. So as far as Pluto in the 11th house, and again, I like to be thorough, or I like to like really, really dig really deeply into shit when I talk about it. So if I don't go into all the details tonight, it's only because I haven't like researched it like that. But just off the grip, if you have 11th house in your chart, that deals with like friends and networks and dealing with a lot of people, but definitely friends. So if you know anything about Pluto, Pluto is a planet. It takes its time to come around, but when it does, everything goes like it goes really, really fast. And Pluto is that planet that once everything is said and done, there's really, really nothing that you can do about it. That there's some type of transformation that is going to take place. When they say that Pluto is going to transform you, take heed to that. Take heed to that and be open to that. And embrace the change when it comes. See, Pluto is that planet that you may find that you're at this job that you hate and you've been doing it for 20 years. This is just an example. And you feel like you're never ever going to get out this job. Pluto is that transforming planet that one day you may wake up and find out that shit, your job, it had to close down suddenly because the health department closed it down, or a fire burned it down, or, it was a situation where they lost their lease, or, you go to work and you find out that you're going to get severance paid because, they lost their contract. So Pluto is that transformative energy that when it comes, something's going to happen, and the routine, something that you was doing consistently, when Pluto comes into play, you're not going to be doing that anymore. And you may find that you're in a whole different situation. So if Pluto is sitting in the 11th house, on the 11th house, it deals with friends, then you may find that you were friends with like a certain amount of people, like a certain group of people. And then all of a sudden, these friends that you entrusted in for so long, that you find that they betrayed you. And that betrayal brought in a situation where it changed you, or it changed the dynamics, or it changed like the relationship that you have with people. And it could, deal with jealousy and envy. Unfortunately, it can deal with a situation where there's money involved. So, and no disrespect, because this may not have nothing to do with you, but Pluto in the 11th house, sometimes it deals with, again, a group of people, or like some type of association. So it may not even be friends. It may be that you're in dealings with people, um, that you're dealing with things that is illegal. You know what I'm saying? Is illegal. And, you know, the situation, it could cause a situation where, you know what I mean? Like people turn on each other, or, people are turning on you, or, you know, people don't really want you to rise within that situation. So there's going to be some type of energy that comes into play, and the tables are going to turn. You may be a person with Pluto in the 11th house, and you may be working in a group or a job or a situation or some type of setting where your boss turns into your worker and you become a boss. And it's a transformative situation that you and these groups of people that you're with, you guys experience together. And, sometimes this can be like a power thing. You can have some type of power struggles within some type of friendship when you're dealing with like Pluto in the 11th. Again, this may have something to do with like friends, or something to do with like some type of collaboration you're doing with people. And if you're not careful, it could transform you. It transform you, or it could transform your friends, either for the good or for the bad, depending on what's going on. Only you would know, because you have this energy within your chart, you are within your environment, so you know what's going on. But I'll have to do more research to find out and give you more information to tell you, what you may expect. But there's a good chance that it has something to do with power and control. Somebody who wants to be the leader of the group, and it's most likely gonna be something that is affecting you. Like, somebody doesn't want you to be the leader. Maybe you want to be a leader in a situation dealing with a group, and somebody in the group doesn't want you to be that leader. Or you may be in a situation where you feel like somebody is the weak link, and you want to take over and become the leader of that situation. But again, depending on the types of people that you're around, it can determine how this thing turns out. But again, only you know. So whatever types of dealings that you have with people, these are the energies that you might deal with. You might deal with some underhanded, people who may want to be in a power struggle with you. I don't know. Again, I don't know too much about this energy or planet, but only you can tell me, Charles, if you have a situation like this where it can be ruthless, and it could be a situation where nobody's really sure. People want things to end, but when Pluto comes around, it's going to change the whole group. It's going to change the whole dynamic. Again, I don't know what type of situation you're in, but it's something dealing with like people, or a group of people, or somebody fighting for leadership within a group. So again, you would have to be the one to tell me, because I don't really know too much about the 11th house, and Pluto being in the 11th. I would have to do more research. So pardon me if I'm wrong, but I believe it has something to do with the group and power struggles, and people who may try to like knock you down, or don't want you to be the leader for some reason, but you do have the potential to be a leader in some type of group, or some type of, I don't know if you go to church, or if you do some type of charity event. I don't know what you're doing, but something with a group, and it's going to be a situation where the tables might turn, and it may be transformative to a point where you might rise or whatever. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry if I didn't give you enough information, but I'll look into it a little bit further down the line. So again, I don't see anybody else chatting in the chat, so I hope I answered all of the questions tonight. And mainly, I guess this video tonight was mainly about Mars and Aries. It mainly was about addictions, and how I feel like it's a spiritual thing with these addictions. I believe that, these addictions, it could be stronger than the flesh. Sometimes the spirit, it wants these poisons and these toxins that it's not good for you, but it can become like an excess. And if you have Mars and Aries, for some reason it brings on the energy of excessiveness, violence, outbursts of anger, alcohol, poisons. Also be aware of poisons, Mars and Aries. Be aware of people who may like try to give you things that can cause like poison or issues with inflammation, or issues where you can find yourself, Mars and Aries, they may find themselves consistently suffering from like hangovers, or stomach problems or headaches, or just because of the toxins that they're putting in their body. So just be aware of that. Hopefully that's not the situation. Hopefully you are a Mars and Aries who's able to divert that energy and use it towards something that deals with those things, but it doesn't affect you. So you can maybe go into like, who knows, like the health field or some type of technology, or do something that is in connection to like, the head, the eyes, just the physical. It may be even a good idea. Let's say if you do have a problem or do have any issues with addiction, who knows? You may want to conquer it and may want to be a counselor, or, be that one to help other people with the addiction, since you are Mars and Aries and you know how, the spirit, the energy inside of you can take over. But for some reason or another, you've learned to master that, because Aries, again, they deal with resistance too. So if they deal with resistance, and sometimes they're really resistant to the point where they don't move, that's probably because they mastered that. So if there's a problem going on and you're able to conquer that spirit, conquer that addiction, you can turn this negativity into positivity and maybe help other people with Mars and Aries. If there's any Mars and Aries out there, maybe you have a story to tell other people, and you can share any of experiences that you had, that you may have experienced, but you conquered that. You went through your Saturn return and you're no longer dealing with all of the things that I mentioned. And how did you overcome it? And if you don't mind, share that with other people. Share that with people who have Mars and Aries. There's plenty of videos out there, of course, not only on my channel, because I said I'm not the expert. I'm learning as I go. But sometimes when you look under the comment section with these certain energies, sometimes people share their stories, and little do you know, those comments and those stories that they share, that helps other people. And there's probably some tips, there's probably some information that the astrologer or whoever it is that's relating the information, they probably didn't mention. But when you put that comment under that particular video in that section, you may be able to share information with others that have that same energy and help them in a way. So yeah, so I think I've talked about enough. I think I kind of covered it, just somewhat some information in regards to Mars and Aries and other things. And I guess I'm gonna get out of here on this Friday night and try to continue to enjoy the night. And yeah, I think that's about it. So okay, there's one more comment and I am gonna get out of here. So you said, I'm dealing with a power structure angle from friends in my life to work. It has to do with a lot you touched on. Thanks for the info and keep up the good work. So thank you, Charles. Wow, so that's interesting that you are dealing with some type of situation with friends. So yeah, that's really interesting. So the only thing that I could say to you, Charles, is just try to be aware of the circle that you have around you. And you don't have to share it with me. You don't have to share it with me, but If you have, definitely don't, definitely don't have to share it with none of us. If anything, it's kind of good if you keep your information private when it comes down to astrology. To me, astrology is a diary. That's what I think. I think all of our charts is our own, it's our spiritual diary. And this is just my opinion. I don't think that everybody should allow any and everybody to look at their chart. It may take you a long time to diagnose your own chart, but I think that it's safer and it's better and it's more personal if you can take the time out and study yourself instead of paying somebody to give you a half-ass astrology reading that you're probably going to be left feeling unsatisfied with. So yeah, it may take you a little long to get through your chart and to go through these degrees, to go through this, to go through that, but have fun with it. Go through the journey, feel it, understand it, and take your time with it, because I think that everybody's astrology is personal and it should be private. And if you're going to turn around and pay somebody to look inside your diary and read to you things that inside of you that you should be working on, you know what I mean? To me, that's personal. So, please, Charles, don't share the information if you don't want to. I would rather you not. But if you have Pluto in the 11th and you're dealing with friends and power struggles and people who don't want you to be a leader and all this shit going on, look and see if you have any planets in the 12th house that may be dealing with secret enemies within this group that you're involved in. Or if you have any planets in your 7th house that may be dealing with somebody in this group who may turn and become like an enemy and try to be an open enemy and then cause problems for you out in the open. So be very careful with this group and this Pluto thing that's going on. So anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna hurry up and get out of here. I think I kept you guys a little bit too long. So I hope everybody has a great night tonight. And thank you so much for joining me and stuff like that. I'm learning as I go. And, hopefully we can hook up again, guys. But let me get out of here. It's dumb late and everything like that. But I appreciate you guys and have a good night. Later, guys.